Darren and I have been talking about corn herbicides quite a bit this winter, these pre-emerge corn herbicides, but now things have changed a little bit because a lot of people are already starting to plant corn. If you don't have a pre-emerge herbicide on already, but you would like to get one on before the corn emerges, what can you do?
Well, we get these calls every year from guys that say, you know, I really wanted to use that pre, but now I've got corn in the ground. And then the next question is, well, is some of the corn up? Is it all still in the ground so you can safely apply about anything over the top? Where are we at? So before you talk about any of these products, you really need to take a look at your fields. Now, if you just planted them today or yesterday, that's fine. We know that corn isn't out of the ground yet, but if it's been a week or more, here's where you really need to get out, take a look, scratch around a little bit and see, you know, is that corn just about to break through the soil or do we have a little bit of time?
Yeah, if it's already starting to push that soil up, you may have some leaf tissue that is exposed if you are going to go out and spray. That's not a good thing with some of the herbicides you might consider using. In addition to that, you want to make sure that the seed furrow actually got closed, because I've been in a lot of fields where the seed furrow doesn't close well, and even though they planted 4 days ago, well, actually, they've got a lot of risk out there if they were to spray herbicide on right now. So just be sure that you know what you're doing. Probably the one that I think about where I've got the most risk if that plant is going to be emerging would be Verdict. And the reason why is that contains Sharpen. Sharpen is a great burn down product. I mean, it's fantastic. So if you've got some weeds out there, we really like Verdict. But if your corn is up already, you shouldn't be spraying Verdict at all.
You know, and you've got a quick burner like the Verdict, that is a concern, and it used to be a concern with the old Balance Pro that we had as well. Balance Pro was one that was great on burning down weeds and having residual control, but if you had some corn that was just starting to pop through, you were at risk putting it out at that stage.
Yeah, but we don't have Balance Pro anymore. We got Balance Flex now. So now
that's
you
what I
can
was
go
getting
spray.
to. Yeah, you can't cut me off here. Exactly.
Yeah, but we got to hustle though, Darren. We got so many products to talk about, and that's the debate.
Here's the problem. Once we get into corn planting, Brian just gets insane. He's just jumpy. He's edgy. He's just got to go till all the corn is in the ground.
Gotta go. And if you're like that on your farm, you have that corn in already, that's where we're talking about. Verdict and Balance Flex would be pretty good options to burn things down. Verdict you can't use after that corn has emerged, but Balance Flex you can up to the 1-2 leaf stage, somewhere in there. There's still some risk, and you can't mix Balance Flex with a whole bunch of other things, but those two products are great burn down products. Now we've got other products like Harness and Surpass and Outlook and Dual. They can be sprayed after the corn emerges, but they don't burn things down.
Well, okay, you've got a guy like Brian that's gotta go, and I know exactly how it is. You get a nice spring like this, has been on our farm anyway, you just plant, and then you say, oh man, I should have put on my pre's. Well, fortunately, there are a number of these pre's, and some of them Brian just mentioned, that you can apply after you've already got crop that's emerging from the soil. Now, let me say this first. That's not ideal. I don't like that. I would much prefer to see those products go on before the weeds emerge, because once weeds start emerging, they're competing for sunlight, they're competing for moisture, and they're competing for nutrients with your crop, and it's going to impact your yield. Yeah, maybe just a bushel or two at first, but the longer those weeds compete against your crop, the more competition there's going to be and the lower your yield potential. So there are other products as well. Brian mentioned the straight grass products, the Harness, Surpass, Dual, Outlook. There's also products that have a broadleaf component in. Things like Triple Flex and Sure Start have got a Hornet right in there too. So you've got some broadleaf control in addition to the grass control. And yes, you'll get a little burn down on those broadleaf weeds, but if you've got emerged grasses, hopefully you have a Liberty Link crop or a Roundup Ready crop where you can mix some Liberty or Roundup in to wipe those out.
Yeah, so then you can take it a step further. Darren talked about grass control product with a broadleaf control product like Halix GT, for example. So in there, you've got Callisto, you've got Dual, you've got Roundup or Touchdown. You've got all these things in there, these components, and like he said, it'll kill the weeds fine, but if you've let a whole bunch of weeds get big in your crop, that's where you could run into some issues. So the main thing that we're trying to stress here is use your pre-emerge herbicides, pre-emerge if you can, and then come back with another shot to kill your grass and broadleaf escapes later on. Chances are you're gonna have the best yield that way, and especially when we have $5, $6 corn, you just don't wanna have yield loss.
Now, one last thing here. When we talk about putting on these products, after the corn has already emerged, most of them have a cutoff point. A lot of them, it's 10 or 11 inch tall corn. With anything that contains atrazine, atrazine can only be applied up to 12 inch tall corn according to the labels. So you have to watch it. You can't let it go on forever. You know, yes, the corn popped up, but just take a day and spray everything. You can spray so many acres in a day once you get going. Get it taken care of, the sooner the better.
Hey, you said one last thing, but I'm gonna go one more. How about Roundup resistant weeds? Let's talk about the very worst ones real quick and just tell me what you think you would do with a preEmerge herbicide. So let's start with water hemp or Palmer pigweed. So pigweed species, what do you think is the best preEmerge?
Well, personally, when we talk about pigweeds, I really like Balance Flex. That's been awfully good. If you've got some emerged ones like you're spraying later on, that's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. Now, you can spray Balance Flex a little bit post-emerge, but you know, when they start getting bigger, you may be talking about a tank mix of some sort.
Yeah, I think Verdict is really good. I mean, there are several choices there. The main thing is to get something down. How about the ragweed species? Anything different?
I don't really think so. You know, on corn, it's different than on soybeans. On soybeans, every weed, it's, oh, okay, well, this product for this weed, but this other product for a different weed. On corn, we're really looking, when we're talking about things like Verdict and Balance Flex, at two fantastic small-seeded broadleaf products. So they do a nice job controlling those small-seeded broadleaves like the pigweeds, the ragweeds, lamb's quarters, kochia, those types of weeds.
Yep.
They're your best bet.
Yep. Okay, they are a good bet for those types of weeds, but are they a good choice for our weed of the week? We'll talk about it coming up later in the show.